Now, former Governor Don Siegelman may be watching this segment tonight from prison, convicted on bribery, conspiracy, and mail fraud charges. The Justice Department has refused to investigate, telling us that Siegelman can go to court with his claims that he was targeted for partisan reasons. But there are serious questions that should lead the Justice Department and the judge to, at the very least, release Siegelman while he appeals. The facts. Fact. The appeal has been delayed because the court has still failed to produce a transcript of the trial, which was completed over a year and a half ago. Fact. This case was thrown out before Alabama prosecutors went after him again as he was making a political comeback. Fact. The judge in the second case threw out 25 of the 32 charges that the prosecutors filed. Fact. The sentence of 7 years and 4 months was disproportionately tough. Fact. The key witness also made allegations against 2 prominent Republicans that were never even investigated. And fact, 52 former state attorneys general, Republicans and Democrats, have called for Congress to investigate because of the irregularities. I agree. Joining me now, Dana Siegelman, Don Siegelman's daughter. Thanks very much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, so where does this case stand as far as you're concerned?
It is finally being noticed by the public in a big way, and I don't know about standing very much. We've been trying to move forward for 8 months now with the appeal process, and nothing has been done. Congress is investigating in the House Judiciary Committee, but how much, I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Your dad, I think, is watching this from prison tonight. How's he doing?
He is more enthused since 60 Minutes has come out. He's excited that you're following the story and passionate about it, and I think he's been re-encouraged. I mean, he's gotten several letters since 60 Minutes aired, and I'm hoping that the people that wrote him in prison also wrote to Congress.
Yeah. And you know, what's particularly amazing to me is the fact that the Justice Department is saying at this point, we have to wait. We have to let the appellate process go. We have to let the appellate process move. We can't do anything until that happens. And yet your dad's lawyers are waiting for a transcript of the actual trial that occurred more than a year and a half ago, and there's all sorts of excuses in the court about why they can't get a transcript?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right? I mean, is that an accurate description of what's happening?
It is. It's unbelievable. None of us know what to think other than Judge Fuller is sitting on it and trying to keep my dad hushed as long as he possibly can.
Does your dad think Karl Rove's behind this?
Absolutely. He knows Karl Rove is behind this.
Now, how does he know that?
My dad was the first governor to endorse Al Gore for presidency. He spoke at the Democratic National meeting in Boston and said some things that were very controversial and things that scared the Republican Party into thinking that my dad was also looking to run on a national scale. Well, Karl Rove's the guy to see if you want to stop somebody in the Democratic Party.
And, and is the evidence that you have that Karl Rove was behind this primarily Danny Jill Simpson?
Not necessarily. Karl Rove worked with Bill Canary in Alabama for several years doing Republican Party work. Karl Rove was hired by Bill Pryor, whose office the indictment came out of. So I think there's a lot more there than just Dana Jill Simpson.
Scott Horton, let me bring you in 20 seconds. I mean, you're a law professor. Legally, what do they do?
Well, I think they've got to perfect their appeal. They have to continue to push it, but I think they need to push for his release pending the appeal. And at this point, frankly, there is no legitimate reason for the Court of Appeals to continue to hold him. What's going on is a complete travesty. I
am going to call for it again. I am going to call for the former governor to be released pending appeal. Look, even if it turns out that the appeal has no merit, he can go back to prison. This happens all the time in nonviolent offenses. In this particular case, the minute they sentenced him, they didn't even give him the 45 days that they ordinarily give someone to get your affairs in order. They dragged him out in shackles and put him in prison. The bottom line is that I want to see him released while they appeal. You can always put him back. Don't worry. Dana Siegelman, Scott Horton, Thanks very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
We're going to stick on this tomorrow.